Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olga Kozierowska, and this is Success Written in Lipstick podcast. Transgenerational trauma is an important and often overlooked area of psychological and social studies. So I'm really excited to learn more about this fascinating topic from our guest today, Noémi Orvos-Tóth. The author of the provoking book, the book is here with us, Inherited Fate. Please join me in welcoming Noémi Orvos-Tóth.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Let's start with the explanation of the term inherited fate.
I mean, if you want to explain transgenerational trauma in a nutshell, it means that trauma can be passed down to the next generation. So whatever happened to our parents and grandparents will affect our own life as well. So the past doesn't go away. We will carry it in our life until we break the cycle.
Okay, so we need to learn today how to break the cycle. Yes. How did you first become interested in that topic yourself?
Yeah, it all began with the birth of my daughter. She's not 21, so it's been quite a long time I've been dealing with this topic. I remember vividly taking my newborn back home from hospital, and you know, as every new mother, I expected it to be the happiest day of my life. But instead of happiness, I felt tremendous fear when I placed this little tiny creature into her cot. And I just couldn't understand where this fear was coming from. And somehow I also felt that this fear was only partly mine. It was a very strange feeling. You know, you are there, you suffer, but somehow you feel that, okay, this feeling doesn't entirely belong to me. And I couldn't explain it to myself, and I couldn't find explanations. So from that day on, I started to search for explanations. And then I studied family therapy. I digged into attachment theory. I delved into attachment trauma. And then I came to this phenomenon of transgenerational trauma, and then I understood, okay, the reason of this fear lies in the past of my family, because it turned out that both of my grandmothers lost several children before they had my parents. So losing a baby lied very deep in in our family history. And of course all these losses remained unresolved, because maybe they talked about the stories, but emotionally it was unresolved. Mm-hmm. And they passed this knowledge down the next generation, that, you know, babies can be lost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Having a baby doesn't mean that the baby will be there forever, or yeah, you know.
Some people cannot get pregnant and they don't understand why.
Why? Yeah.
Because there is no...
This kind of fear can be a kind of a barrier for becoming pregnant. Because if you carry this fear inside your body, you try to protect yourself from experiencing this fear again, and not becoming pregnant or having difficulties becoming pregnant is kind of a way of coping.
So how does this transgenerational trauma manifest in individuals and families, apart from your personal experience? How can we diagnose that, or how can we feel that, or check that?
Yeah, it can manifest in repeating patterns. For example, failed relationships. If you look at your life, you look back on your life, and then you discover, okay, I keep repeating the same pattern in my relationships. This is why I tend to choose the, let's say, wrong persons, and then you kind of blame the
person,
others, okay,
but you know,
for failing,
and you don't really see that you're choosing the same kind of person.
You choose the same kind of person, or you kind of create the same dynamics in your relationships, or it can manifest, or you can think of having some transgenerational or carrying some transgenerational trauma within yourself by discovering that, okay, I react very intensely in situations which are harmless or for other people kind of everyday situations, but my reaction is I overreact. Okay, and then you should think of transgenerational trauma when you keep overreacting in certain situations, or if you get stuck in certain areas of your life, for example, in your career, you just can't reach your aims in your careers, and you feel stuck in this certain area of your life.
What about money?
Or money. If you have issues with money, you spend more than you should spend. You spend more than you earn, or you don't allow yourself to spend, for example, on holidays or on joy, because you think that, okay, I have to grab on the money and I shouldn't lose any money.
Or maybe you earn a lot and then you lose it, and then you earn a lot and then you lose it again.
You lose it again. Yeah. For example, in my family, my personal experience, and I can speak from personal experience, that my ancestors lost. When the communists came, every belonging was taken away from them. So I kind of inherited the belief system that having money is something very dangerous because it can be taken away from you. So you better don't invest in things, because on one day it's there,
somebody will come and will take it away.
And
that happened in my family as well. So when my grandma, grand-grandma, that the communists came and they took everything. First Germans, and then she came back for, I don't know, 2 weeks or 1 month, and then communists taken away everything. So she was basically thrown away with her 5 kids, because my grandfather was already dead those days. He died during Second World War. And so she was really kicked out from her place, her house, her home, with kids, and she was not allowed to take anything.
Oh yes, it happened in Hungary.
So even coats and
nothing. Nothing. You have 10 minutes to grab your stuff.
Get out.
Yeah, get out. Yeah.
Yes.
And this is what transgenerational trauma inheritance is about. That we not only inherit our genes from our parents, but also their experiences, their belief system. Because if it happened once, it can happen anytime again.
Jesus, but it's really a lot to take, if we talk about the generations. So parents, then grandparents, grandparents. How many generations back?
I mean, it's a very good question. At least 3 or 4 generations.
Because you have too many people, like from one side and from the other side.
It's a big bunch of people.
2, 4, then 8.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of people, a lot.
But this is the truth. I mean, we don't come from nowhere. We come from a family, and the family have a history, and every person in our geogram has its own story and traumas.
Yeah, maybe we have some people listening and not really believing that it.
You don't have to believe in it.
Yeah, but
it works without believing.
Yeah, of course, but the research has been done on that subject, so we have proofs that it exists.
That there is a very solid research on epigenetic inheritance, and we know that. Even experiences can have an effect on the life of the offspring. For example, there was a very interesting experiment with mice. Researchers like to experiment with mice. I mean, because the next generation follows so fast, and that you can watch the consequences of certain experiences. And the research was the following: the parent population of mice were trained to it was the following. The scent of cherry blossom was sprayed into their cage, and at the same time they got an electric shock. So they soon learned that, okay, the scent means pain. And of course, they were afraid of
and they experienced that truly.
Yeah. But the interesting thing followed when they watched the offspring, the grandpaps and great-grandpaps of the mice, because they also showed signs of fear, although they never were trained with this electric shock.
Yeah, so only the smell?
Only the smell caused fear in them.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
I think it was on rats even.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
In rats or
so
mice.
7 generations then they were proving that we can
and
feel that.
And it was published in a very serious scientific paper. So I think it was back in 2015, as I remember.
You write in your book about birth.
Yeah.
How does what happened at the very beginning affect our future? We are still in the belly of our mama.
Yeah. I mean, birth is a very important event in our life. We think that, giving birth only means that the baby is coming out of the mother womb, but it has a very important effect on the relationship between mother and child. Because if the birth is natural, as it should be, then nature does what it has to do to establish a solid bond between the child and the mother. But if something goes wrong, or if we urge the birth, or if we use chemicals like oxytocin to speed up the birth, then we can harm this very early bond between the two of them, and it can have and it can also have a lifetime effect on both the mother and the child and on their relationship, because a peaceful birth is the best for both of them, because nature knows everything, how to establish a solid bond between mother and child.
I was, when you were explaining that, I was just thinking about my experiences and some of my female friends, and few think about giving birth as a trauma. It was so painful for them that when they were having a second child, they decided to have cesarean cut. Yeah. And in my case, I have 3 kids and twins among them. And so with twins, of course, it was a cesarean cut because it was too dangerous to give birth naturally. So yeah, so just, no, it was my my way of thinking. I mean, how plus I was thinking about the relationship I have with them, and so I have to rethink that. And
yeah, I mean, cesarean cut might be life-saving, but you have to know when to do it, how to do it. And for example, in Hungary, we overuse this.
Oh, okay. All right.
This way.
So somebody's afraid, but maybe as well. You're afraid because you lost your child during a natural birth.
I mean, yeah, but it's kind of I mean, if you consider giving birth being a trauma, then of course you are afraid, more and more afraid, and then you experience more and more complications during the birth. But as you said, if birth is a trauma for the mother, just imagine how this mother will react to the needs of her child.
Yeah.
Will she be open enough to the needs, to the child, to the baby, or trauma will take away this capacity of hers?
Yeah. So how can we individuals begin to understand our challenges, the roots of trauma? How can we find out?
Yeah, first of all, we have to kind of experiment with ourselves, with our life, and instead of just living the life, we should kind of witness our life as well. So it's a different perspective. You not just live your life, but you also kind of watch your life, focus on what is going on inside of you, within your we have to kind of develop an observational self who is kind of watching what is going on instead of just experiencing things happening in our life. So it's very important to be self-aware, as we say in psychology, be self-aware of our experiences, of the dynamics in our relationships. I mean, you have to be present in your life, and yes, you also have to start analyzing your life, not just living the life you live.
Okay, and then when you find out that, like you, that you feel something and it's not really yours, or that it's really a person in my life that I cannot stay in the relationship more than 2 years, for example, or whenever there is a problem, the first problem occurs, and and I'm running away, or I'm afraid to give birth, or I'm afraid to get pregnant, for example. Yeah,
we have to consider all these as reactions to something, and we have to start searching for this something, and it might end up in therapy. We might end up in therapy because analyzing ourselves, it's not always possible, or it's only possible to a certain level, but then we need someone else, and we need a different perspective, and the therapist brings in a different perspective, and she shows us this perspective, and she can ask us questions we never asked ourselves before, and show us this different perspective.
Because sometimes it's not possible, because our grandparents are dead. We cannot find out what happened. It's not necessary to know.
It's not necessary to know the certain stories, because we carry the consequences of these certain stories within our life. So if we discover that, this running away, for example, every 2 years from a relationship, it's a kind of an attachment. trauma, and because of our insecure attachment, the reason of us running away is because of our insecure attachment style, then we can be sure that it has its roots in the past, and we only carry the consequences of our upbringing or of the traumas of our ancestors, who maybe had lost their loved ones, and running away is a way of coping with future losses. Okay. I run away just to make sure that the other person won't run away.
So basically, it's enough to find out what's going on inside me. So observe ourselves, and if we find a pattern which is negative for us, we can go and look for or search for help. So go on therapy, for example, and it's not necessary to understand the past. Yeah, like there was this.
It's not necessary to discover the certain stories. We might discover them because if we start searching, we discover much more than we would have believed.
Like this family secrets.
Yeah,
that that even our mom or our grandma, they know, but nobody wants to talk about that. But we feel that something is wrong.
Yeah, keeping secret is a way of protecting ourselves. It's a way of protecting our children. It's a way of coping with trauma. So we shouldn't blame our ancestors or parents, grandparents of keeping secrets, because this is the way they try to cope with life, and I wouldn't blame them. And it's very, it takes courage to open yourself to your loved ones, and it takes self-worth, a solid self-worth, to open yourself to your family members. And maybe if you don't have it, you might keep your secrets. You might remain silent about certain aspects of your life.
Forever.
But it's forever, even forever. But it's a tragic life if you just consider for a moment how can it feel, carrying certain.
It's like a burden.
It's a burden. Yeah. It's a burden.
Mm-hmm. So just to give people hope, is it difficult to heal and move on?
I wouldn't say it's difficult, but we need to be patient, because it doesn't happen overnight. So it takes time, a long time, and we should consider therapy as a journey, as a long, long journey. And this journey is a very exciting journey. It's much more exciting than, traveling to Australia or Nepal or wherever. It's the most interesting journeys always go inside, leads us inside. And if we consider our healing as a journey, then we won't be impatient, and we won't rush into decisions or whatever.
Yes. What were the most surprising findings from your research on inherited trauma?
I think the most interesting thing is that we all carry traumas. Okay. Because for a long time I thought maybe it's just certain families, but now it's a universal experience. This is the most interesting finding in my research, that we all come from families who were traumatized. We all come from parents.
So we still feel war, for example, which happened.
Yeah. So trauma is a very universal experience.
Can we share a specific story you described in your book, like an example that illustrates the impact of this inherited fate as well as healing? So
yeah,
just an example.
I think my without talking about any of my patients, I think my own example is it's also a very solid example that I came from a family in which everybody lost loved ones, and I grew up with this fear. I remember my grandmother, who was just 9 by the time she had lost both of her parents, and then she was 16 when she got married, just to have someone, you know, to grab on,
yes.
to feel close to. And then she had lost 2 of her children before she had my mom. And I spent a lot of time with her when I was small, in the first, 2-3 years. And I remember her overreacting to any tiny danger, or screaming with me to put shoes on so that I don't catch the cold. And she overreacted all the time because she was so afraid that I might get sick, that there might be something wrong with me. And, you know, getting the flu meant death. Yeah. So this is how trauma works. There is a very common situation, like a child having the flu is, I mean, you know that in an early age, yes. Children catch the cold every week nearly. But the way she reacted to this common situation was so overwhelming that I somehow learned that, you know, loving someone means losing someone, losing the person. Afraid. And this is, I mean, love means loss. So you can't differentiate. And I remember imagining myself as a widower. Okay. You know, little girls imagine themselves as brides in white,
yes, and
beautiful
you were
dresses.
How you're
and
losing your husband.
Yeah, and this was my always in my imagination, picturing myself as a widower sitting in black dress underneath a tree, and this is how I pictured my future. And can you imagine how these pictures, these images affect the way you actually act in your relationships?
You're afraid to have a relationship because you're afraid to love.
That's right. And I needed a very long therapy sessions, many hours dealing with these subjects, and it took me quite a while to I don't know, I wouldn't say to get over this fear, but to be able to control the fear so that it doesn't affect my ongoing relationship with my partner, with my husband, or with my child.
What does it mean to control your fear?
Yeah, I mean, because I still have this fear now, thinking on my daughter.
So recovering doesn't mean that you get rid of the fear, but you still have it, but you can cope with it?
You realize that, okay, there is the fear. Okay. You kind of realize your reactions, but then you are able to control it. Okay, it's not about the present, it's the past which is affecting me at the moment. So you become able to differentiate between the present experience and the past experience. But you need to be aware, and you I mean, you have to watch yourself very carefully. I would even say on a daily basis, because my daughter now, she studies in the Netherlands, and I could easily get into the state of overreacting when she calls me and she says, Mom, I have the flu, or I broke my ankle, or whatever, because this is what happened a few months ago. She called me and she told me that, oh, an accident happened. I broke my ankle. And I was like, oh my God. And I felt this fear coming up, and it was really difficult for me to react rationally, and being the mother who is able to help her distant daughter and give good advice.
Mm-hmm. I was kidnapped when I was 4 years old, something like that. I don't know, maybe it was 40 minutes or 1 hour, something like that. And I don't remember that. I remember everything before that happened, and I remember the moment when I was, already with my mom, and it happened in Bulgaria. When you were saying that, I'm especially with my daughter, whenever she wants to go to the shop, she's 12 years old, like shop, which I don't know, it's 15 meters away from our apartment. I'm always like afraid that somebody will take her away.
Oh my God! And what happened? Who kidnapped you?
Yeah, it was this guy, a Bulgarian guy, and I was, I think, because I was shouting in Polish. Some Poles helped me, and they took me away from him. So
I mean, it is a serious experience.
Yes, and and I'm on this therapy, the special one with this special tool. So it works through your eye.
EMDR.
Yeah. EMDR. Yes.
It's one of the best methods of treating trauma.
Yes, and you know that only my body remembers that.
Yeah, of course.
I don't remember what happened. I don't remember the face of this guy.
But your body remembers.
But I remember, when I was, going through that from the beginning. So I remember seeing it was in the shop, and I couldn't find my parents, and so I decided to walk outside, and then I don't remember anything.
Okay.
But I remember, my body remembers the fear.
Yeah.
So in my stomach, then the anger. So probably the moment I was fighting and shouting and trying to escape. And then I remember this feeling of relief.
Yeah.
So when I was already, with my mom back.
Yeah. It's very moving to listen to this story, but it's a story of escape. So you were able to manage to escape. And it's very good that you said that first you had fear, but then anger, because anger helped you to move, to fight back, to shout,
yes.
Quite loudly, so that people could hear and could help you. I mean, as a little child at the age of 4, you proved that we can survive. And you should rewrite your narrative that you are a hero, you are a fighter, you are able to change the story of your life. I mean, yes, it's there. It's not the pain, it's not the trauma which is in your body, but this ability to fight back.
Yeah, thank you for that, because now I can see it in my life.
Yeah,
that
for sure. I'm sure
the strength. Maybe I'll be a part of your second book about this inherited fate. Yeah. So, what do you hope readers will take away from your book? Because it's here now revealed in Poland, so it's in Polish as well. It's in English, in Polish, in many languages now.
16 languages.
16 languages. So it's a huge success. Great. I mean, really, congratulations. So, what they can take away from from this book?
I think the most important takeaway is that there is a different way we should look at our life. We should think of our life as a consequence of the past, but we should also think of our life as the kind of the beginning of the life of our children. So we should see the big picture and see the whole context. And I think this is the main message of the book. Don't just concentrate on yourself. You are not alone. We all share the same experiences. You don't feel isolated, because we all know what you go through, what you went through. Because all I write about are human experiences. And the other takeaway is that we are capable of changing the course of our life, and we should never give up.
Yeah, and we can do it today for our children.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It was really inspiring. Noémi Orvos-Tóth.
Thank you very much for the lovely conversation. Thank you.